Hi, my name is Chip, and I'm the pastor at Belmead United Methodist Church, and I'd like to offer a reflection from Luke's Gospel about this story of two disciples who meet Jesus along the Emmaus Road. The Emmaus Road story really is a story of transition from the empty tomb and the resurrected Jesus to Jesus' final words to his disciples in his ascension into heaven. And it's full of lots of really interesting details. Luke tells us that Emmaus is 7 miles away from Jerusalem. He even tells us how the disciples' faces looked as they were walking along that road, because they were filled with sadness. In the midst of all of those details, one of the questions that naturally comes up is, where is Emmaus? Where is Emmaus? And if you look through some of the background information and commentaries and scholars who have looked at this, you'll find lots of different answers. Some people will say that Emmaus was west of Jerusalem. Some people will say that Emmaus was north of Jerusalem. Some people will say, well, actually Emmaus was 20 miles away. And others will say, no, it was closer to 3.5 miles away, making a 7-mile round trip. They're really interesting to look at these questions about geography, but it doesn't really get us any closer to the question, where is Emmaus? And so that question just kind of hangs there in the air. I have a 4-year-old son, and he is a ball of energy and emotion. He's a source of joy and frustration sometimes for my wife and I. And like a lot of 4-year-olds, he requires some correction sometimes. And oftentimes when he's corrected and things aren't going his way, he'll run off to his room in tears. And he'll stay in there for a little while, pouting, and eventually he'll come out. After reflection on the Emmaus Road, I have a greater appreciation for what the disciples were going through. They were running away because things hadn't gone their way. They're doing the same thing that my son oftentimes does. And so the question is still there, though. Where is Emmaus? Well, Emmaus is that place that we go to when things aren't going our way. Cleopas and this other unnamed disciple, well, they're running away from Jerusalem. They're running away from the problems that were in Jerusalem. They're running away from the fear maybe that they had from being in Jerusalem, and even running away from their own friends in this time. And so when things don't go our way, sometimes we do the exact same thing. We run away from them. Or maybe we slip back into familiar patterns that are oftentimes even destructive. So where is Emmaus? Emmaus is found for some in the abuse of alcohol or substances. Where is Emmaus? For some, we isolate ourselves and cut ourselves off from our family or our friends or our community of faith when we need them the most. Where is Emmaus? Emmaus is found in binge watching your favorite show or mindlessly scrolling through your newsfeed, all the while neglecting your own soul. Now, I think that it's important to remember that these two disciples didn't stay in Jerusalem. In fact, when they get to Emmaus, their eyes are opened in the breaking of bread with Jesus. And after their eyes are opened, where do they go? Well, they go back to Jerusalem. If Emmaus is that place that we run to when things aren't going our way, then Jerusalem is the place we run to when our eyes have been opened. Jerusalem, in this sense, represents for us community, a faith community that's foundation is the resurrected Jesus Christ. Jerusalem, in this way, represents for us a place where questions are welcomed and faith is the common language. Jerusalem represents for us, in this way, hope in the face of adversity. And so when we find ourselves in a time or a place where things aren't going our way, I encourage you to look to Jesus to open your eyes. That instead of running off to Emmaus, that familiar place and destructive patterns, to go and run to Jerusalem, that place of hope and of faith and of community.